Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zolotech, and we have a lot to talk about with new AirPods, upcoming iPads, iOS 17.1.1 soon, and much more. This is your weekly Apple news update for the week of November 5th, 2023. Now, Apple held its fourth quarter earnings call this past week, where services continue to grow, but iPhone revenue was down year over year from $205.5 billion to $200.6 billion this year. Services were up 16% though, and the quarter overall brought in $89.5 billion in revenue and $23 billion in total profit. This is actually down from the same quarter last year where it was $90.1 billion total revenue. So they've actually gone down a little bit. That was a little expected. They've actually sold less things with iPads and more. I'll link this in the description if you want to take a look at it as well. Tim Cook during the call also said Apple is investing quite a bit in generative AI. This could be used for services and for Siri in the future. So hopefully Siri gains some more knowledge using generative AI and much more. But it'll probably be a while, maybe iOS 18, iOS 19, we don't really know. Apple this week extended its return policy, so if you're buying something from now through the holidays on December 25th, you'll actually have more time to return it up until 1/8/2024, and this could be extended even further depending on what country you live in. So if you're in Japan, UK, or somewhere else, you actually could have more time than that. So that's been updated, and they also updated their store app with a little bit more depth. This makes me hopeful for maybe some changes with iOS 18, where we're seeing more and more depth and a new style altogether with iOS and many different apps. So hopefully they update this in the future, but let me know if you would like to see more depth in iOS in the comments below. A lawsuit over Apple throttling the speed of the iPhone has been something we've seen before, but now there's a new one going forward for iPhones that have been throttled from iPhone 6 to the iPhone 10. This is moving forward in the UK, where consumer advocate Justin Gutman filed a claim which could cost Apple over $2 billion. So Apple actually throttles it as the battery degrades so that it doesn't shut down the device. This is something Apple didn't tell people until after it happened. So that's typically what the issue is. Once you replace the battery, it goes right back up to normal speed, but that's something they didn't disclose. So there's been quite a few lawsuits over that. Now, as far as Apple Watch, we've been hearing a lot of complaints that watchOS 10.1 is causing a lot of battery issues and battery drain for other people. Mac Rumors actually obtained an internal memo stating that Apple is working on the issue and an update is coming very soon. This could mean sometime this week, and in the meantime, if you're having this issue, many have suggested uninstalling third-party apps that specifically maybe update the watch faces. This is something we're seeing more and more, and if you uninstall some of those third-party apps, typically it fixes the issue, but once watchOS 10.1.1 releases, this should resolve the issue, so hopefully we'll see that soon. We also could expect iOS 17.1.1 as well to launch along with that. The reason for this would be maybe to fix the issue with Wi-Fi that Apple has also acknowledged is in iOS 17.1 and earlier, where Wi-Fi could just drop off, or maybe you have emergency SOS altogether, so you're not on Wi-Fi, but then you have no signal altogether. This could be something that gets resolved with that update, as well as other bug fixes before we get iOS 17.2. And iOS 17.2 should be out with Beta 2 hopefully as soon as tomorrow. So based on the time you're watching this, it could be out already, but hopefully on Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll have iOS 17.2 Beta 2, along with maybe those new Macs that technically launch tomorrow as well. So we've got the new iMac coming out tomorrow, and at the Scary Fast Apple event, it seems Apple purposely called out that they would not be releasing larger iMacs, and they did this sort of in a roundabout way. Many people missed this, but during the event, John Ternus said the 24-inch iMac is the perfect replacement for the 27-inch iMac. The 4.5K resolution of the 24-inch iMac should be plenty for 5K iMac users looking to make the switch to Apple Silicon. And then again, The Verge confirmed today that Apple is not going to release a 27-inch iMac with Apple Silicon. Apple actually stated this, saying Apple will not be making an Apple Silicon version of the 27-inch iMac to replace the Intel-equipped models that discontinued in 2022. The company instead is focusing on the iMac line around the 24-inch model that was first released in early 2021 and just updated with the new M3 processors this fall. Apple PR representative Starlene Meza confirmed the company's plan to The Verge. The company encourages those who have been holding out for a larger iMac to consider purchasing a Studio display and Mac Studio or Mac Mini. I think a lot of people have done that so far. However, they did not rule out maybe a 32-inch iMac. However, at this point, it seems maybe maybe the iMac makes up so little sales that they don't really care, and they're pushing the MacBook, Mac Studio, Mac Mini, and Studio Display. So maybe we'll see an update, but at this point, it's not looking good. Now, as I mentioned before, the new M3 MacBooks launch tomorrow around the world, and you can go into the store and pick one up. However, if you pick up the base models, they only have 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports instead of 3 on the M3 Pro and M3 Max models. So keep that in mind. That's something I actually missed when I did a recap of the event. Also, M3 Max are in hands now, and early benchmarks are actually showing marginal improvements for the Pro chip over the M2, but the M3 Max is up to 50% faster, and close to the 4080 in gaming with Baldur's Gate. So it looks like it could be a pretty good gaming machine, although it's more expensive than building a custom PC and using an RTX 4080. So maybe I'll test that out when I get my hands on one. If there's specific games you'd like to see, let me know in the comments below. Now, as far as deals this week, there's quite a few as we get closer to Black Friday, and AirPods Pro are still down to $199, even the USB-C models. iPad Air is also discounted along with iPad Pro, and MacBook Air is actually a couple hundred off as well. I'll link those deals in the description below if you want to take a look at them. Now, as far as weekly rumors go, well, there's quite a few to talk about here. Apple's actually apparently working on its own custom batteries for launch in 2025, according to ET News. Apple's actually been working on its own batteries since 2018 and is getting them ready to launch in different devices. This would actually reduce the cost for Apple if they make their own, but they could also make them last longer and for more cycles so that they last much longer. So instead of being down to 80% in 500 cycles, maybe they could extend that like they do on Macs. So maybe 1,000 cycles or even 2,000 cycles, depending on their actual composition. So that's something I look forward to. However, it's going to be a couple years until then. Now, before we talk about the iPads and AirPods that are upcoming, iPhone 16 is still in the works, of course, and may adopt new telephoto lenses with new technology. According to the Economic Daily News, the glass will actually be advanced and allow for thinner lenses and a thinner design with less weight. That's one of the challenges as we have this big camera bump. If they could actually come up with this new lens technology, they can make this much thinner and fit here without that camera bump to give it a little bit more depth and sort of have depth from the sensor to the lens. So that's something we could see as soon as iPhone 16. Also, we're already hearing news about iPhone 17. Yes, iPhone 17. Apple is actually preparing to get the launch of the iPhone 17 ready to go in India first. This will be the first time Apple prioritizes assembly outside of China for a new iPhone. So that makes sense. They need to get those factories up and going, teach people how to actually assemble things, run the machines, get everything in place. So it takes a few years to do that, and the first ones would be in 2025 with iPhone 17. So the Pro models would still probably start assembly in China, but it looks like Apple's really moving things out of China and around the world to diversify its overall product line. Now, as far as the upcoming iPads, there's a little bit to talk about here. According to Mark Gurman this week, we actually have new iPads coming next year. The entire lineup is expected to be changed from the iPad mini to the regular iPad, iPad Air, and iPads Pro. All of the models are expected to get a major update next year. That could be everything from the display switching to OLED to new chipsets, maybe the A17 Pro or something along those lines. We should get entirely new lineups here, of course, all with USB-C as they currently have, as well as additional features, new smart keyboards, and much more. Let me know which one you pick out of all the iPads. I personally like the 12.9 inch. I would like an even larger one, but let me know what you prefer out of all of the different iPads in the comments below. When it comes to new AirPods, Apple is expected to update most of the lineup in 2024, with the base models getting updates then, with the AirPods 3 maybe moving on to the AirPods 4, as well as maybe getting rid of AirPods 2 altogether. We don't really know. However, at the end of 2024, we're expected to get updated versions of AirPods Max with USB-C and maybe a new design, but we won't get AirPods Pro updates until 2025, according to Mark Gurman. So we would get AirPods Pro 3 in 2025. However, lately, Apple's been a little bit all over the place. Hopefully, we just get a revamped version of all of them at once, along with those iPads as well. When it comes to the next generation of Apple Watch, we've been hearing that maybe we'd get an Apple Watch 10 or Apple Watch X that's a redesign like we got with the iPhone 10. However, we may or may not get that, but we may get some new sensors according to the latest leaks and rumors. We could get some new sensors to help with monitoring blood pressure along with sleep apnea as well. So instead of actually monitoring blood pressure directly, it would sort of look at the trend, see that it's going up, and notify you to contact a doctor. The other thing is true with sleep apnea as well. It would sort of notice that and then tell you that you may want to consider going to a doctor to get that checked. Additionally, there was a story that the original Apple Watch was hoping to be launched with blood glucose monitoring. This is something many people will have wanted. It would be revolutionary, and so far we haven't seen it yet. So maybe we'll see it one day. Apple is still working on it apparently, but it needs to be very accurate, as that's incredibly important to get right. So maybe we'll see it in a couple years, and if we do, it will be a huge hit. Otherwise, it doesn't seem like Apple's working on it, to at least for the next couple of years. Could be a few years out. Now, Apple's Vision Pro headset is something that we've been waiting for a while and is supposed to launch early next year. And with the Vision Pro headset, initially it's going to be available in stores only, according to Mark Gurman. Apple will begin selling it in the store with sort of appointments to get fitment and a demonstration of how to use it, instead of just being able to order it and get it right away. That's not something I'm a huge fan of, but they did do that originally with the Apple Watch. So we can expect sort of a concierge service with the Apple Vision Pro, especially for its cost. They want to make sure they get it right, but it's going to be a very slow rollout. So it still says early next year in the US. Hopefully we see it maybe in January, but we don't have a specific date for it yet. But once I know, I'll be sure to let you know, and hopefully I can get my hands on one as well. So that's everything this week. I'm looking forward to the iOS 17.1.1 and iOS 17.2 betas, and hopefully that fix for watchOS 10.1 as well. Let me know what you're looking most forward to and what you would like to see with the M3 Max, something maybe that other people aren't testing. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. If you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.